Hello, everyone. I'm the Schleg Daddy from the Wedge Busters, and it's time for my Week 1 prediction show. I'm going to do things a little bit differently. Instead of just coming right out and picking winners and losers, sometimes I think that could be harder, and sometimes I think that could be a little easier. I'm going to use Bodog.net's official odds for the week. I'll post all the information in the description box down below. The matchup, the line, and the over-under. The line will be minus whatever number if the home team is favored, and plus however many if the road team is favored. Without any further ado, let's kick it off with the 1 o'clock Eastern games on. The Cincinnati Bengals make the trip in-state to face off with AFC North rivals, the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland is favored by 7, with the over-under being 35.5. It's hard to predict what you're going to get with this type of game from two teams. You really don't know, and it's a challenge to pick Week 1 in general. I think Cleveland has a better quarterback. I do think they will win. However, I think the game is going to be a little bit closer than it may appear on the surface, even with Dalton as Cincinnati's quarterback. So I'll take the Bengals plus the 7 points, and I'll take the under. The Buffalo Bills traveled to Arrowhead Stadium to take on the 2010 AFC West champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are favored by 5.5, and the over-under is 40. As far as the game goes, I don't think Buffalo matches up very well with Kansas City. Kansas City is just a better team. I don't expect Kansas City to win that division, but I think it's going to be too much of Jamal Charles and Thomas Jones on the ground, and Matt Castle is going to do just enough through the air to keep Buffalo's defense honest, and I still have questions about Buffalo's defense big time. So I will take Kansas City minus the 5.5, and I'll take the under. Next up, we get an old NFC Central matchup as the Detroit Lions travel to Raymond James Stadium to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is a eagerly anticipated matchup between a Lions team that a lot is expected of, quite honestly, in 2011, and a Tampa Bay Buccaneers team that finished 10-6, yet were only good enough for third place in the NFC South last season. As far as the game goes, the line, Tampa Bay is only favored by 1, and the over-under is 41. I do expect this to be a really good game. Stafford at the helm. I think Detroit's going to try and come out and establish themselves as a force in the NFC North early on. So I expect the Detroit Lions to win. I'll take Detroit plus the 1 and give me the over. In boring AFC South football action, we get the Tennessee Titans traveling to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. The Jaguars are favored at home by a point, and the over-under is 37. Bottom line, I don't really expect much out of the Jaguars in general this season, and now that they cut former starter David Garrard, I expect even less out of them. There was a lot of questions about that Jaguars offense, even though they do have Maurice Jones-Drew. I think the Titans with Matt Hasselbeck at quarterback, they have a better quarterback. Chris Johnson is signed and ready to play, so I'll take the Titans plus the 1 and give me the under. The Indianapolis Colts, sans a Peyton Manning, traveled to Houston to take on AFC South divisional rival, the Texans. Now, Arian Foster, the star running back for the Texans, is going to be a game-time decision with his hamstring injury. It does look like at this particular moment as I record this that he will not go, and if he does, then Derek Ward will be starting in his place at running back with Ben Tate, last year's second-round pick, backing him up. For the Colts, now without Peyton Manning, let the Kerry Collins era begin. The Texans are favored by 9, with the over-under being 43.5. Quite honestly, the Texans, especially now with the Peyton Manning injury, are going to have a lot of pressure on them to run away with this AFC South division. And for anybody that remembers Week 1 last year and what Arian Foster did to the Colts, need I say any more about how the Colts struggled traditionally, especially early on in the season, against power running teams? I expect Houston to dominate this game and win by at least 14 or 15 points. So give me Houston minus the 9 and give me the over. The Philadelphia Eagles travel to St. Louis to take on the Rams. This will be an interesting Week 1 matchup with the Eagles and all their preseason Super Bowl expectations in their back pocket, and the St. Louis Rams trying to recover from the Week 17 choke job where they lost the NFC West division. I expect this to be kind of an up and down, high scoring affair. St. Louis is 4.5-point dogs at home, and the over-under is 44, and a bit of an upset. With the Eagles, it may take a little time for all these new pieces to fit together, so the chemistry initially may be a bit off with this team. As an upset, I'm going to take the St. Louis Rams plus the 4.5, and I will take the over. Next up, the Atlanta Falcons travel to Soldier Field to take on my beloved Chicago Bears. The best way I can sum up this matchup is this. There are a lot of questions on Jay Cutler in 2011 and the Chicago Bear offense because the previous 2 seasons have not been very good. Atlanta is a team that can control the clock, being one of the league leaders in time of possession, and also stretch you out in the air with weapons such as Roddy White, rookie Julio Jones, and Tony Gonzalez at tight end for Matt Ryan to play with. I expect that to ultimately be the story of the game. The Bears will do a decent job of containing Michael Turner, but it's going to be too much Matt Ryan, too much Roddy White, too much Tony Gonzalez. So I'll take Atlanta minus the 3 and give me the under. Next up, we get to my matchup of the week. The Pittsburgh Steelers traveling to Baltimore to take on fellow AFC North rival, the Ravens. This is a great game for those of you that like physical smash mouth type of football, both on offense and defense. You're going to get a lot of that here. However, that might not necessarily lead to a lot of scoring. And with the familiarity of these two foes, and especially starting off the year against each other, I do expect this to be a lower scoring game. Baltimore is favored by 1 at home, and the over-under is 36. In the end, I think a last-second field goal may very well win this game. But I will take Baltimore at home minus the 1 and give me the under. New head coach Ron Rivera and number 1 overall draft choice out of Auburn, quarterback Cam Newton, lead the Carolina Panthers on the road in Week 1 as they travel to face Kevin Kolb, the new starting quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals. I think it's asking a lot of Cam Newton to go on the road in Week 1 and win in the NFL, especially with the lack of preparation time he had in the offseason. And while there were also questions about Kevin Kolb and whether or not he's the real deal as an NFL starting quarterback, I think there's more overall familiarity with what is expected in the NFL from Kevin Kolb. They have better pieces on offense, namely Larry Fitzgerald, and I do think the Cardinals' defense is a little bit better than the Panthers. So I'm going to take Arizona minus the 7 points, and the over-under on this game is 37. Give me the under. Next up, we get an NFC East matchup as the New York Giants travel to Washington to take on Mike Shanahan and the Redskins. The Giants are 3-point favorites on the road, and the over-under on this game is 39. Bottom line is, if you expect me to think favorably of a team that starts Rex freaking Grossman at quarterback, boy, you got another thing coming. I guess I just don't understand why the Giants are getting so much crap. They're really an overlooked team right now. And I understand that sometimes they don't come out as focused as they should be and don't display as much heart and energy as they need to. But I think they come out of the gate strong this season, especially against a team like the Redskins. I don't think it's very good. And I mentioned they have Rex Grossman at quarterback. So give me the Giants minus the 3, and I'll take the over. Next up, Adrian Peterson has 100 million reasons to love playing for the Vikings. And on that note, his team, the Minnesota Vikings, traveled to the West Coast to take on AFC West team, the San Diego Chargers. Now, this matchup comes down to this. On paper, San Diego is flat out the better team. They have a better defense, they have better balance on offense, and they definitely have the better quarterback. Would you rather have at this stage Phillip Rivers or Donovan McNabb? I'm just saying. But then there's the ultimate concern of the Chargers under Norv Turner traditionally have started off very, very slow. Remember the Monday night matchup last year where they lost to future AFC West champs, the Kansas City Chiefs? So San Diego's favored by 9 in this game, which does leave me scratching my head a little bit, and the over-under is 42. Upset alert! Upset alert! I'm going to take Minnesota plus the 9. In fact, I'm going to take Minnesota to win this game and give me the over. That's right. 2010 NFC West champs Pete Carroll and the Seattle Seahawks travel to San Francisco to take on divisional rival the 49ers under their new head coach, former Stanford head man Jim Harbaugh. The way I could best summarize this matchup is this. I don't really think the Seattle Seahawks got a lot better in the offseason. In fact, I may think they got slightly worse, even with the additions on offense of a Zach Miller and a Sidney Rice. Tavares Jackson is their quarterback. Ooh. And as far as the 49ers go, if for no other reason than they have Patrick Willis, who's a man beast on defense, a healthy, at this point anyways, Frank Gore in the backfield, and a new head coach that they're probably desperately going to try and win a game for. I will take the San Francisco 49ers, who are favored. I'll take them minus the 5.5, and the over-under on this game is 38. Give me the under. In your Sunday night game, the Dallas Cowboys, with quarterback Tony Romo, travel as 5.5-point underdogs to the new Meadowlands to take on the Jets. Ultimately, I expect the Jets to come out and try to establish themselves as a real legitimate threat to the Patriots' reign at the top in the AFC East. I will take the Jets minus the 5.5, and with the over being 40.5, I will take the over. As has become the tradition every year in the opening weekend of the NFL season, we get not one but two, count them, two Monday Night Football games. The first one features 2010 AFC East champions, the New England Patriots, traveling on the road as 7-point favorites to take on rivals, the Miami Dolphins. I like the Miami Dolphins on defense. I think they will do a decent job of at least trying to contain Tom Brady and that high-powered Patriot offense. However, I am not a fan of Miami Dolphin offense. There are a lot of questions about Chad Henne as a quarterback, and there are questions about the running game. Second-round pick Daniel Thomas struggled at times during the preseason, and there are still questions about how effective of a weapon Reggie Bush can be for that team. So when I look at this game, I expect the Patriots to come out strong in week one. I don't think they're going to blow away Miami by 30 points necessarily, but I will take the Patriots minus the 7 points and the over-under of 45.5. I will take the over. The second half of the Monday Night Football doubleheader sees the Oakland Raiders traveling to Mile High as 3-point underdogs to take on the Denver Broncos, led by new head coach John Fox. I'm actually a bit surprised that a team in the Oakland Raiders that finished 6-0 in the division last year are going on the road to face a terrible Broncos team. At least they were in 2010. They were terrible. And they're 3-point underdogs. I really don't get that, I guess. Ultimately, I still think the Broncos aren't a very good team. I know this is going to be a lot of people probably will pick the Broncos to win. But I do think the Raiders are a legit contender in that AFC West this year. And I expect them to start out a little bit stronger than they have in years past. And I think they will come out on the road at Mile High and win in week one. So that's an upset special, if you will. I'll take the Oakland Raiders plus the 3 and the over-under being 40.5. I will take the under. Let me know what you think down below of the week one matchups for this 2011 NFL season. Give me your picks or what you think of mine, quite frankly. Stay tuned. I will hopefully be uploading before Sunday's 1 o'clock Eastern games a fantasy football sit and start special. So that way, maybe those of you that have questions about who to play or who to sit, you can get in a different viewpoint, and maybe I can help you to fantasy success. For the Wedge Busters, I am the Schleg Daddy. We'll see you next time.